Hello again and welcome to Thread Sketching in Action number 69. I'm Deborah Wirsu of deborahwirsu.com. In my tiny front garden there stands a small silver birch tree, not very old and currently waiting for its burst of spring green. But when searching for an idea for thread sketching this week, my eye was drawn to the bark of this little tree. After photographing a section of bark, I then used artistic license to interpret and stitch this sample. Although this tree doesn't have a lot of lichen growing on it, I have seen many over the years that do, so once underway I simply developed the design as I stitched. The samples worked on a piece of reclaimed silk, and I began by stitching all over with a horizontal straight stitch to create texture, then adding some darker lines of stitching that suggest similar markings found on silver birch trees. This was followed by more horizontal lines in a different colour, worked here and there across the piece to give the trunk a little shape. About the only element that I used from the actual photo is the knot on the trunk, where a branch has fallen in the past, leaving a small whorl in the wood, with newer wood growing around it. This knot becomes the dominant visual element in my stitched piece, the strength of which I later had to balance visually with other areas of darker thread. Having worked the knot, I then began gradually working out and around it to create the area where the bark has been torn when the branch broke, leaving raw wood exposed, which is now weathered and old. Gradually, different shades of thread are introduced to the piece. Some are for creating detail, some for texture, and others simply for subtlety, to highlight parts of the design that I wanted to be more defined. As you know, lichen can appear in a myriad different colours and shades, but for this piece I wanted to stick to one set of colours, using them with various degrees of intensity. In the end, I think I actually used 3 shades of brown, 4 shades of green and 3 of grey. I could have used more. And of course, if this had been a larger piece, then many more colours would have found their way into it. So from here on, the lichen stitching continues. By this stage, I was working with only passing reference to my photo, but I kept it on hand, as many subtle tonal and colour variations could be seen in the photo. One thread colour that I omitted mentioning earlier is this shade of yellow ochre. I wasn't 100% sure it would work, but sensed that I needed to introduce another colour to the work as it was looking rather dull. By using this yellow ochre, which blends well with the browns, I've been able to add touches of light and interest without deviating from the natural colours of lichen. A long-held ambition of mine has been to create a series of textile works inspired by lichens and fungus. Although I've produced some fungus samples earlier in this series, this particular piece has really grabbed my attention as something I could successfully develop into a larger work. Although I already have an enormously long list of pieces I want to make, this, too, has now been added to that list. The point I really wish to make here is that you should never ignore the possibilities of seemingly random exploration of ideas and experimentation of techniques. When I was preparing this morning, I actually had no idea what I was going to create. But the silver birch tree drew my eye, and I then stitched on fabric as though working in a sketchbook with a pen. This may be a more time-consuming method of exploration of ideas, but for me, it's a method with which I am much more comfortable. For more tips, techniques, courses and news, please visit my website at deborahwirsu.com. I'd love to see you there. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to your company again next time.